reasons why I ended up choosing this version over the newer model. A couple of features is obviously it's still Euro 4, so in terms of exhaust and all that sort of stuff, it's not restricted as much as the newer versions are with the Euro emissions regulations. And also I just think that the newer version doesn't look as aggressive overall. Yes, we don't have the coloured display dash in here, but overall I don't think that that's a big factor. Although having the M-Bucks entertainment system would be fantastic, and then also it was the newer versions were a little bit out of the budget there for spend. So I just concentrated on trying to look for something with a fair few different options and all that sort of stuff on it, as a bit of an older one with a bit of gear done to it already, to save a few dollars. So we ended up with this black one here. I ended up becoming quite fond of the black in this particular specification. Sorry, I just think it looks really it just accentuates all the body lines on the vehicle a little bit better, and also with these forged wheels, I think they look quite cool, and also this was really attractive to me as well as a vehicle, because it came with the carbon ceramic brakes as well as a factory fitted option, and obviously if you have a look up online, they're quite an expensive option. Yes, they're going to be expensive down the track to replace, but what a lot of people forget is carbon ceramic brakes have about a 3 times lifespan of what a traditional steel brake would. So there's going to be a long time before it needs replacing. I do intend on doing a track day or two with this, but nothing too serious. Just have a bit of fun on track and see how it performs. I also just wanted to have this video as a bit of my thoughts so far on the ownership of the car, and just for anyone that's out there that might be looking to purchase something similar as well. So there's obviously some fantastic points overall, but there's also a few little drawbacks as well to it. That's what I wanted to sort of concentrate on in this video, is some plus points and minus points, which we'll go into now. Alright, so let's start with the positives. The interior is really comfortable. I really like the performance seats, so I think if you're paying this much for this type of vehicle, you should really try and find one with the performance seats. It's probably going to resale value in the future is going to benefit from having that. They are quite tight hugging. I'm not the biggest fella in the world, and they hug me really, really generously. So if you are on the bigger side or bulkier side of build, you probably will find them to be a little bit more uncomfortable. But for long trips and everything like that, I still find it really comfortable to sit in over the distance. Another positive is obviously the twin turbo V8, and let's face it, that's basically what everyone's going to be purchasing this vehicle for, is the 4-litre twin turbo V8 in this is so well refined and robust in its use. Acacia, that's filming me now, she obviously drives this on a daily basis, and it's quite easy for her to commute around, go to the shops, do all that sort of stuff. Obviously you've got the different sport settings that you can set, which is comfort, sport, sport plus and race, and then you've also got individual as well, and that changes all the gear ratios. Also changes the handling and stiffness of the electronic steering, and then it also changes the stiffness of the suspension as well. So you can chop and change and tailor it to suit. Acacia, you usually drive it around in sport mostly, and occasionally sport plus. Whenever I'm driving it, I always drive it around in sport plus, and then when I want to have a bit of fun, I put it into race mode, because then that makes the gearbox a manual mode, so you can pick and choose your gears there as you're driving. Now, the other positive to this car is when we purchased it, it came with a stage 2 tune, and also it has the downpipes. Now, I'm not exactly sure on the specifications of the downpipes or anything like that, or even if there is actually got downpipes on it, but it goes pretty good, and it's got a nice sound to it when it's in race mode and Sport Plus. And that's mainly why I drive it around in those specifications all the time as well. Now, obviously, other benefits to this vehicle as well is relating back to the suspension settings and how you want it set up as well. So you can have it really stiff if you want to attack a few turns, and if you want to just cruise down to the shops and you want it to be nice and comfortable, you can just set it into comfort mode here. So you can just change that, and then it just totally changes the ride comfort of the suspension at just a touch of a button. And yeah, it's really soft and supple and nice and neat. And there was a couple of reasons why we ended up choosing to go for the GLC63. So we wanted to have a nice luxury car first and foremost. I wanted to have something that had V8 and had power, because I've missed my SS since I parted ways with it a couple of years ago now. And we obviously have a new addition to the family now as well, so we wanted something that was a little bit of a family wagon. So we needed the space in the boot area, and also the space for the baby carrier and all that sort of stuff as well. So this vehicle sort of ticked all the boxes of being a well-rounded performance vehicle, but also something that Acacia could easily jump in and drive whenever she wanted to, and didn't feel like she was driving something that was out of her comfort zone as well. So it ticked all those boxes, and you know, it's nice and docile, but when you want to get into the loud pedal and be a bit of a hooligan when I want to drive it, you can just it's a Jekyll and Hyde sort of scenario where it just totally transforms the vehicle, and it's really fun to drive. And probably the number one thing that is the best feature of this car has got to be the sound. The sound of this twin turbo V8 that they've made. Actually, you might be able to hear if I wind down the windows, but the sound that it makes is just fantastic. So yeah, that's got to be the number one thing that you buy this car for. But I suppose what a lot of people want to know, and what there's not a lot of on the internet or on YouTube that I've found, is the negatives. So we'll get into the negatives now, just so you're aware, if you're looking to purchase something like this, to be on the lookout for. So obviously, probably my number one bugbear of this vehicle is the amount of electronics that it's got. And obviously you should know, when you're getting into something that's European based and all that sort of stuff nowadays, they're really focused on electronics overall. So you must be aware of that, and because of that, it's going to have some quirks and funny sides of things, which are probably not necessary, but they're just a fact of life. And as long as you can live with that, it'll be a great car overall. So number one thing is electronics that you got to be aware of. Number two is actual, just the interior is good quality overall. But for some reason, all of these new cars, and it seems to be BMWs, Mercedes, lots of stuff coming out of Germany, they're just like, you can hear that creaks and rattles, and there's a persistent rattle that's in here all the time. And actually, if you've got one of these and you're struggling to find it, well, we've noticed that it's coming from the actual sunglasses compartment up here, and it actually just creaks and groans and wiggles around, and everything in here, there's just creaks and groans everywhere where you that one's very audible, you know. And just for something that's a luxury car and you're paying a premium price for, I think that they could have spent a little bit more time on just refining and making things a little bit better in here. It's a little bit plastic fantastic for the money that you are paying for. So that's probably a downside as the second one. A third one is, well, it's just happened recently, and for some unknown reason, Acacia was driving the car the other day. Now, I don't know if this is because this car's got a stage 2 tune and it's got the downpipe, or what we think is downpipes in it, but she went to take off from a roundabout the other day, and the car just completely conked out on her and stalled. So she had to turn it on, turn it off, and then turn it on again before it started up. And then it came with a message displayed in the center screen that the rear diff lock was inoperable, and it just displayed that warning message. So she turned it off and then turned the car on again, and it went away. That hasn't resurfaced, and that was about 3 weeks ago. So not sure what the go was there, but I've read on a few forums that can sometimes happen to people, and then it just never gets displayed again. Another thing, and it literally just happened yesterday, is I did a couple of power pulls with a couple of friends in the car, and it was all good. And then I was coming home with Acacia and Bubsy in the car, and just did a light acceleration to change lanes, and then the engine warning lights come on, and that's been on since yesterday, and we've started the car again today to do this review, and the engine light's still on. Now, the car seems to be working fine. There doesn't seem to be anything weird going on with it. All the parameters in terms of engine oil temps and all that sort of stuff looks fine. So not sure what the go is there. Again, done a little bit of research on the forums, and same thing again. Could be 100 different reasons of why the engine lights come on. I've seen that it's quite common that some coolant levels could be just, you know, not even 10 mil off of where they should be, and it'll just throw the check engine light. So could be a number of reasons. So probably what I'm going to do is going to buy my own scan tool, just so I can plug it into the OBD and find out what's going on with all little bits and pieces like that. That's a bit weird. You gonna give me room, mate? Yeah. So that's the third bugbear. Probably the fourth one is the gearbox itself. When you're in Sport Plus mode and you want to accelerate, and you might be in third gear and you want to accelerate hard, and then you want it to just pop the next gear, but you're in the automatic Sport Plus mode, it seems to just hold the gear, and then it sounds like you're trying to be a boy racer when you're not actually. So that's a bit of a funny one, and I think that's just down to the tuning. Again, it could be the tune that's in this car as well that's maybe playing around with that. I'm not exactly sure, but that could just be refined out. So what I recommend there is, if you want to have fun and do some hard accelerations and stuff, I always just now put it into race mode, and then that gives me manual control of the gearbox, so then that's not so much of an issue. What's with people not moving across today? So yeah, so that's my main bugbears that really so far, after driving this for a couple of thousand Ks now, that I noticed that are real things that you need to watch out for as an owner of one of these vehicles. Oh, I've gone down the wrong road. I went too early. And then Acacia's just given me probably another thing that you need to be aware of as well. Alright, so these GLCs in the SUV version, so not the C63 or anything like that, they're actually a all-wheel drive. So they have the fronts actually, maybe we're going to scrape here, no, we're right. The fronts actually have a lot of power that goes through them, and it's always constant. So what the downside to that is when you're in a car park, and if you're applying full lock on one of these cars, because the front diff is essentially locked, what you'll find is it's commonplace for it to be called crabbing. Now that's where the inner wheel is trying to keep up with the outer wheel rotation, especially when you've got lock on it, and what that causes is the wheel to skip or jump, and it makes a very horrible sound. It's not nice in its sound at all, and a lot of people complain about it. Unfortunately, if you are purchasing one of these cars, it's just the nature of the beast. There's not much you can do about it. People say changing tyre brands and all that sort of stuff, and Americans with winter tyres and all that sort of stuff say that they get an improvement out of it, but you're not going to change the fact that this car has a very intricate front diff setup, and that's its operation, and Mercedes will always tell you that that's its characteristic of the car, and that's the facts. There's no way around it. So what you need to be aware of is when you're going into car parks and all that sort of stuff, you can't put full lock on it like you would a normal car and drive at the same time. So usually if Acacia or myself we're going to a car park, we always try and reverse park, and it might take you 2 goes, but we just don't try and put overly loaded up with too much lock on it, and you should be fine with that as well. So but that's just something to be aware of, and yeah, just know that that's something that's inherent with one of these cars as well. Fucking hell, mate. Couple of pulls in this video. As always, we're a little bit low on fuel, so just put a bit of juice into it, and then funnily enough just put it in race mode. Funny enough, the engine light's gone out, so we'll see how we go here. Just accelerate and roll on. Truck gonna pull out, see what he's doing. It's not there. truck go. Cruising and it's nice and quiet, no noise, nice comfortable ride. So best of both worlds, that's why this car is so good.